Okay, we're just about ready to get things rolling, so have a quick look at LittleNavMap, show you the route we're going to take. So we're at Thunder Bay, and we're going to take off, go via VORs, because that's all the F28 can actually do. And then we're going to go into Grand Rapids, so we're going to go VOR hopping to get there. Okay, so let's go and get inside the airplane, and we need to get it fired up. Just have a sip of coffee and get my startup checklist on the screen. I've just finished writing up and published on the internet, so you're welcome to go and grab this checklist. Okay, so Control and 8 takes us overhead, turn the battery on, then go to Control and 9, APU goes to main, and then over here left main goes to on. We have to hang on for a few seconds before we can start the APU. We're waiting for the door to open outside basically. Then we can hold the start button and you'll see the RPM for the APU coming up. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, have a look in the live stream, see if anyone's watching yet. There's a couple of people have wandered in already, so it should be good fun. Okay, so APU is now up and running. So Gen 3 can go to on. Bleed air can go to on. On the central pedestal, Control 7. We can now go and turn on the master radio switches. Back overhead, Control and 8. Emergency exit lights can be armed. The windshield heating can go to low. Cabin altitude, we're going to fly at probably 25,000 feet today or thereabouts, so we'll go and set that. Can't quite see that, there we go. 23, 24, 25,000 feet, that's good. And then on the eyebrow panel, so we scroll back down, turn on the fasten seatbelts and the no smoking signs. Master control panel, so Control and 2, we slide over and we set the mode of nav 1 and 2 to DME. Flight director in the center, we're going to put the mode on to heading, and then we're going to set the heading bug to the direction of the runway. So we'll be taking off runway 25 today, so we want 250 degrees. So we'll keep an eye on the heading bug on the outside of here, and we'll roll the heading round to 250 degrees, which is just about there. So I'm just watching that bug whizzing around down there. There we go. So pitch command to 10 degrees. So something I mentioned in the startup video I just put out is, after reading up on this, the pitch command is really just a visual reference. So what we're really doing is moving the flight director needles, the guides, just to put them on the 10 degree line. So then when we take off, we will manually bring the attitude of the aircraft up to match the flight directors. Okay, so course section in the center. So let's go back across here, and we're going to go and set that initial course that we're going to want out to the VOR out here. So what we'll do, we'll add this to the flight plan to give ourselves a couple of miles just to get the airplane sorted out before we do our first left turn. So we want to go 185 degrees towards the initial VOR. So we'll go and set this to 185. And well, I'm just trying to figure out which is the quickest way to do it. It's this way, isn't it? I'm terrible at doing this. There we go. So back in the cockpit we can calibrate the altimeter to the local barometric pressure, calibrate the HSI as well by pressing D. So we're going to set our climb altitude. We'll go straight for 18,000 feet. We're not following procedures today. Or we're not following, I mean, standard instrument departure procedures. So 18,000 feet. Oh, we said 25, didn't we? $25,000 feet, there we go. So control 7 and zoom out slightly. Oh, that's interesting. Control 7, zoom out. This is going on in a different position than normal. Nav goes to on. The transponder goes to standby. Squawk mode can go to C, even though we're not going to be using it. It's just here for good practice, I guess. Then in the tablet we are going to go to the aircraft section and remove the chocks. Make sure all the doors are closed. They already are, because we never opened any. Make sure the parking brake is on, because we have now removed the chocks. So then we're going to go over to the engine gauges. We can leave these on. I think you're generally looking for about 169, 170. It depends on lots of factors though, and there's lots of advice in the book about this. So it depends on barometric pressure and outside air temperature as well. Okay, so we can click on the card here to get the V-speeds. So that will put the markers on the indicated airspeed dials. Then we can press Control 7 to go to the central pedestal. We can lower the gust lock lever, which releases the flight controls. We can go and look up and go and turn on the anti-collision lights top and bottom. So then Control 6 takes us further forward to here. We can turn on the boost pumps on the left and right side of the aircraft. We can press Control and 9 to come up, and we can turn the master start switch to on. We can then go engine number 2 please. We look down in the cockpit, we can see the RPM of engine number 2 increasing. When it gets between 15 and 20 we can advance the fuel valve lever to the start position. When it gets to 50% we can advance it all the way forwards. So slowly getting this sorted out. It's been a fun evening learning this aircraft, it really has. So there we go, crossfeed has just happened over to the engine away from the APU. So then Control 9 again to come back overhead. We're going to go and start engine number 1 now. So we hold it on for a second, let go, come back down. You will now see RPM increasing on engine number 1. So remembering when it gets to about between 15 and 20 we can advance the fuel valve and then wait for 50% and then push it all the way forwards. Whew. Hopefully the weather radar will switch on this time, because it wouldn't power up earlier. I think it may have been a bug in the simulator, so we'll see how we get on with that. So we're just coming up to 50% and advance the fuel valve all the way forwards. So that's the engines essentially started. So then Control 9, come back overhead, we turn off the master start switch. We then turn off the APU generator, so we drag this back to the middle, and then we turn off the air, and then we turn off the main switch for the APU, so it powers down and goes dark. Then in the air conditioning we turn on the right main. Overhead control 8, we turn on the engine anti-icing, which is here. Go and put them onto auto. We double check the windshield heating is on low, it is. Pitot and vane heating both have to go to the on or up position. And we're essentially preparing for taxi now, so we want 18 degrees flaps. So we go and look down at the flap lever and move it to the 18-degree position, and we can watch the flaps travel on the indicator over here. So then we can also set trim, so you can see trim here. Typically you want it at 5, so it already was at 5, which is great. Center pedestal, control 7, and we can zoom out slightly to look at the lights again, the external light switches. Taxi light on. And prepare for takeoff. So control 7. Oh, actually, wouldn't it be taxi to the runway at this point? I do apologise. So parking brake off. Now, can we make this turn without doing a pushback? Not in the real world. You'd have obviously done a pushback here. Yeah, this has got a fantastic turning circle, look. So we're going to taxi down to the end of the runway. And then we'll go through our final checks before we take off. We don't have much to do, to be honest, just turning on the transponder, turning on the yaw dampers, turning on the landing lights, and then take off essentially. You can see there's quite a stiff crosswind today, so it'll be interesting to see how the aircraft handles with the crosswind. Big old runway, isn't it? It's very wide. That was a stutter and a half, wasn't it? Okay, just straighten up. So, we go and turn on the yaw dampers. We turn the transponder mode to on. We turn the landing lights to on and extended. And then, let's see if this is going to work now. It's working now. 10 minutes ago when I was doing this, it wasn't working for no reason whatsoever. So we can set a range obviously on that, but it's not going to do anything, it's just for display purposes. Okay, so off the parking brake, advance the throttles to full power. hold it slightly against the crosswind, which is trying to push the tail across the runway. So we're waiting for the V-speeds to come up. Okay, so gently rotate, and we're in the air. Gear up. Flaps up as we climb out. So remember, we're matching, using trim to match the attitude of the aircraft with the guide there. And at this point we can go and turn on the autopilot. So it will do roll hold, we'll go heading hold instead. And if we want to increase the rate of climb, we're doing about 2,000 feet a minute at the moment. We're going to pull the engines back slightly. So we're just coming up to 250 knots, so below 10,000 feet we can't go faster than that anyway. So we're just going to look after that. I mean, if we wanted to, we could set the speed index to 250, for example, or 220 even, and go for IAS mode, and you will see the aircraft will, what's it going to do? There it goes. It takes a while for it to happen. So it's now going to base the pitch on the indicated airspeed index. So it's just coming up through 5,000 feet. So we've obviously overshot our original heading we wanted to be going. So let's go back to heading mode. Again, we're just experimenting at the moment anyway. So we'll go and turn across. So our actual ending direction we want to be going is 251 degrees, so we'll go and change the course to 251. If I could set it. This will obviously be from the VOR by the time we get to the beacon. Let's just check the frequency, 108.7. No, we want this one, don't we? We want the YQT Thunder Bay, 11410. 11410. Okay, so it's lit up. Then, as soon as this pulls in, we're 5 miles from it now, which is good. So the distance measuring equipment is working. We press nav 1. Yeah, I'm still a little bit in the dark as to what these reflect. So I'm about to come up through 10,000 feet. So we can move the speed indexer on to a faster speed, which will drop the nose to achieve it, or it should. We'll see what happens, see how it manages that. It's in indicated airspeed mode, so it should be doing it. I think we can pull the indexer down. Sorry, the pitch command. But again, the pitch command is a visual reference. Yeah, I'm not overly impressed with this aircraft's ability to follow IAS so far. We've just overshot the route as well, so let's pull this back in. And we'll put it on beam so we're not getting distracted by other things. If you want to see what we've just done. Yeah, we've just overflown the route and we're just going to go back on and intercept heading. So let's go and set the heading bugler to go west, which will pull us back towards the route. And then as soon as this comes in within the within the marker, we'll go to beam mode and the autopilot, and it should take over. So how are we doing on climbing? 14,000 feet. We're still climbing at 2,000 feet a minute, so let's lessen that down a bit with... I think we're going to have to go for pitch mode, aren't we? Yeah, it's on pitch mode at the moment. It's not on indicated airspeed mode. Okay. So the details of how you get this to behave are still a little bit up in the air, I think. There we go, we're down to just over 1,000 feet a minute. So the airspeed should climb. You would hope. Yeah, it's gently climbing in airspeed now, we're accelerating. So we're coming in now, we're beyond that mark, so we'll go to beam mode. And it will follow the 251 course that we programmed. So you can see the aeroplane is banking left and turning onto the VOR to leave Thunder Bay and fly out towards Grand Rapids. I think you just need to appreciate in aircraft of this era, the autopilot is nothing like as clever as the modern autopilots. And the flight director is not directly connected to the autopilot in the same way that modern ones are. So apparently map mode works on this. So should we try it? What do we get? Very cool. So can we zoom out, see more? It's not immediately obvious what we're seeing though, is it? Okay, we're in the middle of that then, I guess, even though we're not marked on it. So we'll just leave it on weather mode. Apparently the test page works correctly on it though. So when you're on... where's the various buttons to test the same? We'll leave it alone. We know it's inoperable anyway, so. Give the engines a rest, and we will lessen the pitch once again. Just watching the vertical speed needle there. So we are now 33 miles from Thunder Bay. Let's see if we can pick up the next VOR then. So Hibbing, 110.80. picking up a signal from it yet. So the range of this should be 40 miles. So what we could do is put some range rings on the map, 40 miles from Hibbing, so we know when we should get to that one. So this one's got 130 mile range, so let's add some range rings here, 130. So when we're in this area of the Venn diagram, we can transfer over, or we should at least get a signal on Nav 2 at that point. We're doing good though. So coming up through 22,500 feet, still climbing. We didn't turn the landing lights off, did we? Let's go and sort that out. They're down here, aren't they? Don't need them on while we're climbing. The taxi lights can come off as well. Strobes should be on. Oh, I've missed that off the checklist, and I've not seen it on any of their checklists. Oh my word. So should we fix that while we're flying along? Just keep this on this view for the moment. So I'm going to reopen the browser, go to Google Drive. You're going to see how I do these procedures. So we need to turn on the strobes when we're on the runway. So here's the checklist that I wrote up that I just walked through. Primary instrument panel, landing lights to on, strobes to on, up. Needs to be heading 3. So that was missing completely, which is interesting. So file, I need to go and delete the version I had in here, which is somewhere in here, and I can't see it. There it is, that's the EJet one. Delete that file, download the PDF, go to Ko-fi, which is where all of my procedures are for people to download, and I will go to the page, the shop, edit the Fokker one, and edit this, delete the existing file, upload the new one. Save changes, and I wonder if I should put a note on it that it's updated, because if not, only a few people have downloaded it so far, they'll probably realise the missing part of it was there. Okay. So we have levelled out at 25,000 feet, and we've gone over to height mode, which is analogous to altitude hold mode, essentially. And it's gone to roll mode. Does that mean have we lost? No, we've still got the beam. It's interesting how that interacts, isn't it? Probably because I've switched between the nav modes earlier. So if I go back to beam, it's going to very gently correct, just for a small amount of drift. So, I wonder where we should start descending. About the time we switch over to the Hibbing VOR, I imagine. So It's interesting that this is showing the distance measuring equipment, but they're not independent, look, so it's showing nav1. There isn't a split mode in the same way that the BAE 146 has it. It's interesting. I wonder what else is around here we haven't spotted, any kind of Easter egg type things. Can we close the door? Yes, we can. I haven't had a really good look at this yet. So if we click the on-off button, that takes us back to the top. So the map is using open topo maps by the look of it. Although that looks a bit better than it normally does. Except they've got the click spots a bit messed up, so you can zoom in but not out. Okay. Charts is obviously Navigraph. So if we were to put in our destination, which I doubt is going to have anything, KGPZ, search, Grand Rapids, oh maybe it does. So we can get the chart within the aircraft for runway 34 ILS. Very good. So that will give us our nice easy reference. Let me zoom in a little bit on that. So transition altitude to 18,000 feet as is common with the rest of the US. We haven't done that, have we? It's a bit naughty. It only makes a couple hundred feet difference, but we've got ice detected. So, interesting. Let's have a look overhead then. What do we get in the way of ice protection? Just pitot, heat engine anti-ice. Wing and tail anti-ice. So we can turn both of those on and that will warm them up. I wonder what these rails are for. Tim Pearson, Grand Rapids, my hometown. Interesting that the engine anti-icing has just come on its own. This is because it's on auto, I guess. So we are in icing conditions at the moment. Ice has been detected. It's because of these clouds, isn't it? We've got a bit of moisture in the air now. So we're about 60 miles or so out, I guess. So shall we descend down a bit? Just to practice with how you do that in this aircraft. So we're going to come down to 18,000, for example. So we set 18,000. And we go to pitch mode. And then we can use the control here. We're going a bit fast, you can hear the aeroplane creaking and groaning. That's interesting. We had this buzzer earlier. Undercarriage horn silencer. I wonder why it went off. So we're coming down about 700 or 800 feet a minute at the moment. Just giving it a little bit more. So you can see coming down to 1,000 feet a minute now. So at the rate we are descending, we can cheat and have a look in LittleNavMap to see what our rate of descent will bring us in like. So we need to come down a little bit sharper than that. So let's push it in a bit further. Oops. I'm just watching the indicated, also the descent rate. So coming down 1,500 feet, that's better. Handholds for economy minus passengers. That was mean. I mean, it was funny, but it was mean. Okay. So it looks like we'll have some weather to deal with on the way in, which will be fun. So let's go and double check the details about the Hibbing VOR 110.80. 110.80. So if we write to nav2, yeah, we've got a signal now. So by clicking nav2, we are now showing the data on here, and we're going. See, this is fascinating. So if we went 110.80 here, it's going to. So although this was showing the DME from the other, from nav2, it was showing the HSI for nav1. Obviously now we've tuned them both to the same. It doesn't make any difference, so we can say nav1 now. And this is counting us down. So if we change the course now, we're only just off course anyway, so we'll fly straight for the beacon, go beam mode, and it should, or maybe it won't, turn us onto the beam immediately. Or maybe it's waiting, actually yeah, because we've given that particular heading, it's waiting before it turns. So we're still descending. We're only descending at 1,500 feet a minute though. So let's continue this descent on down to 10,000 feet. We need to find out the barometric pressure for the destination. So 2989. So we're going to do it now. We'll do it a little bit early. Gives us something to do, doesn't it? It's not that far away from what we're on already. Is it Kelthian or Celsian music? Well, Nathan Gurley is asking, any ideas of the PNDG 777 release? No idea at all. So where we switched between, is this just dealing with a crosswind here? Let's have a look. Yeah. So it's holding slightly right of the track because we're being blown left. That makes sense. So come down to 18,000 feet, still descending. We're below 250 knots anyway, so we can get through 10,000 feet without a problem. So by the time we come into the VOR, let's have a look, sorry, the ILS, let's have a look at the airport elevation. So it's 1,300 feet, so add 2,500 feet to that. And actually this will be on the chart, won't it? So on the way in, 3,100, that's quite low. And then 29 once we're in. Because basing that on 1,300 feet, you'd expect to be nearly like 3,900, so 4,000 feet. Adia, let's do it our way and see what it comes out at. So if we continue on down for the moment. So we're going to continue descending to 4,000 feet. We can come down at a gentler angle than this though. So let's go and give it a couple of nudges to go down at say 1,000 feet a minute. So we're just judging this for the descent rate. Obviously if you're doing this by the book you would work out the maths for descent rate, distance, you know, to meet it nicely. We're looking about right. So the ice detector has gone off, so let's go back overhead and go and turn off the various airfoil anti-icing. So that can come off and off. And that can go, that's still on auto, that's good. Pitot stays on. But will we get anti-icing again out here? Do we get an outside air temperature meter somewhere? PSI and air, it's pressures. What's the temperature of the system? Oh, here we go. Outside air temperature. So it is always below zero. So we need to be ready when we go into the cloud. We could ice up again. So I think, yeah, I'm going to chicken out and go and turn that back on. I don't particularly want to lose the aeroplane. Aha! So someone has been reading the book. So the gear warning horn gets triggered when you retard the throttles. Okay, so when I was doing at top of descent and pulled the throttles back, I just pulled them too far. There's a lot to learn with this aeroplane. It's going to be great fun over the next few weeks, putting it through its paces. So as you can see, we're about to travel straight through the VOR, so we need to turn left to 243 degrees now. Oh, we're on 243, that's fine, so it's still the direction we were heading. That's interesting though. You'd have imagined that would have been more of a left turn, wouldn't you? Are we still on target for the descent? I think we are. So let's go heading mode. Let's see if we can judge this ourselves. So, whoops, it helps if you put the heading in the right direction though. So the wind is going to push us, remember, to the left anyway. So we'll end up this side, the southern side of the line. You can see it already happening, look. We're pointing in the direction of the line and being pushed left by this crosswind. Obviously as we descend, the wind tends to get slower anyway, so it shouldn't be a major issue. So we're doing about 240 knots, which is fine. Angle of attack meter there, it's quite useful. So let's go and program, we're in heading mode now, so let's go and program the ILS, 110.1, 344 degrees. So 110.10 and 344 degrees. Okay, so we can now see relative to our direction of travel the right turn we need to make to get onto the ILS. I'm going to cheat slightly because we're using GPS here. In the real world, I guess, we would have left this one on, the left nav 2 on, so the Hibbing 110.80 wasn't it? So if we do that, just to show the idea here, we'll use nav 2 over here, which will give us the distance, so coming up to 13 miles away from it. So we continue following this until we get 34 miles away, or 32 maybe, to make our right turn. So we'll let this roll out to 32 on the distance measuring equipment, then we'll switch back over to nav 1 and make the turn towards the course. Hopefully that makes some sense. This gives us the... You have to kind of think outside the box a little bit with aeroplanes. With only radio nav. Oh, we're coming down to the cloud. Brilliant. Hurrah! It's actually quite a high ceiling then. 8,000 feet. Or thereabouts. So 20 miles out from the VOR now. So 14 miles to run in the direction we're going, and then we turn right towards nav 1, which is the ILS. I'm going to turn a couple of degrees. Right, just to counter so we don't go too far away from the plan. Okay, that was interesting. Is that the overspeed because of the 250 knots possibly? So then we get the horn and we'll silence that again. I'll be impressed if that is some logic that says if you're over 250 knots below 10,000 feet it buzzes. So we are below the cloud now, so we can go and turn off the anti-ice. Leave the engines on auto. 26 miles, so rate's full about 32 to make our turn, if we judge it correctly. We need to slow down a bit more, don't we? So let's pull the engines back to idle, throw the spoilers out and get the speed down a little bit. Otherwise our turning circle will be enormous. So, coming up for 32 miles. I'm inclined to do it now. So we're going to go nav1. We're turning the heading round. Lose some more speed and start getting the aeroplane ready for flaps. So gear can come down underneath beneath 200 knots. First stage of flaps. Go with some more of this speed. Okay, gear can come down. That will give us a lot of drag. So we're going to go across the beam, and there's the runway directly in front of us. So if we go beam on this, we're just below the glide slope at the moment. So let's see if this works. Will it descend for us? No, it's diving for the floor. I'm going to disengage the autopilot and take over. So that's obviously something I need to have a read up on, how to use that correctly. Back onto the glide slope. Okay, let's bring this in. Slow. Let's get it back out to about 140 knots if we can. Let's get it on the center line. We're miles off at the moment. Better. to the right slightly. It's a bit bumpy, being thrown around a little bit. Okay. Or maybe we should park over here. Let's turn the plane round. Just having a look. That's general aviation parking over there, isn't it? We're going to park in front of the big building and take out the forklift. So, I presume the way you do this is you go APU main and then you don't need the you need to wait the 10 seconds, I guess, for the door to open, then press start, wait for the RPM to come up, put the generator on, and then you can turn the engines off. So if we can then, well, actually while we were taxiing we should have been turning lights off. Let's go and do that now. So the anti-collision lights can come off, strobes can come off, landing lights. I didn't put the landing lights on for landing. Oh my word. That's what you call saturation and not following checklists. So we're waiting for the APU, aren't we? So APU's running, so we can go and turn the APU generator back to on. So now the APU generator is running, it will cross feed back over to it automatically when we pull the engines. There we go. We still have power from the APU now. So So obviously we could run around the airplane switching everything off if we chose to. So if we wanted to see Grand Rapids, we can use the drone camera and jump up in the air. And have a look. It's quite a big place, isn't it? Anyway, there's our little aeroplane down there on the tarmac. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And I will see you again very soon. But this airplane is good fun, isn't it? There's more to do. So Brian's saying, are you using SPAD Next for your controls? No, I'm not. I've just got a Thrustmaster stick and throttle quadrant, the Airbus ones. I try not to use lots and lots of extra bits of software because there's more and more to go wrong. Although saying that, in the post tomorrow there should be a Tobii eye tracker arriving, so over the next few days get ready for unboxing video and showing everybody what the Tobii can do, how it works. So you'll probably get to see my ugly mug on the webcam with me tilting my head around to illustrate it with picture in picture or something like that. Anyway, see you all again soon.